Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Coming to the most important part of our fundamental rights. Most important part of the Constitution, which is known as fundamental rights, the basic rights of the citizen. Basic rights, which is very essential for the development of the individual personality. So under this is written in the part 3 of our Constitution. Our Constitution has 22 parts. Constitution is divided into 22 parts. This is part 3. Fundamental rights has been explained. The entire explanation about fundamental rights is written in part 3 of the Constitution. The Constitution of India guarantees the fundamental rights to every citizen of India. This is the right to equality. It provides equality before law to every citizen. No one can be discriminated on the basis of color, gender, race, religion, and region. No one. It provides equality before law. And according to this means that for the same crime, same punishment is there. And no any citizen can be discriminated on the basis of their color, on the basis of gender, whether they are male or female, race, religion or region. Right to freedom is the another most important fundamental right, comes under as a second category. The second point, it is given like that. It guarantees every citizen to live with dignity and freedom. How to lead a dignified life? What is the requirement? And along with the freedom. This right is also known as a cluster, bunch, group of several rights. Under this, the first one, which gives the dignity to each and every individual, is freedom of speech and expression. Then assembly, to assemble, association or union, cooperatives, protest movements, just how we have discussed in the two examples, pre-independence and post-independence. We can reside anywhere in the country, inside the Indian territorial boundary. We can live anywhere. Right to practice any profession or occupation. Not like in the olden days, how the history has divided. The caste system, the Varna system, and according to that, the people, they were supposed to opt their occupation to their profession. But under this right, anyone can opt, anyone can choose. Right to life and liberty. Right to life and liberty. Protection in respect to conviction in offences and protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. The next right is known as right against exploitation. Not to exploit anyone, whether on the basis of the gender differentiation. So what are the provisions comes under this right? Is it prevents the employment of children below the age of 14 years. Below the age of 14 years. No any child can be employed. And declares human trafficking, sale and purchase of the human being. Whether it is a child, a woman, a girl. It is prohibited. And the forced labor is also considered as a crime. Then right to freedom of religion. What is this? Right to freedom of religion. This gives freedom to every citizen to practice, profess and propagate. This is based on the 3 P's. Freedom of religion. We have discussed in the ideals of preamble of our Constitution. Introductory document. There we have just studied about that secularism. Secularism is also based on this, the same principle, on the same philosophy. We do not have any state religion. The government cannot favor any particular religion, cannot give the facility to any of the religion. So, according to this right, this gives freedom to every citizen to practice, profess, propagate the religion of their choice. Cultural and educational rights. This is about it assures educational rights to every citizen. Every citizen has the right to follow and preserve their own culture. This comes under the fundamental rights. Every citizen, they can assure educational rights. Even though the government, no one can deny to avail this facility to any of the citizen. Now coming to the fact find of this, other than the fundamental rights, we have two other rights also which has been included in the recent years. We have discussed in the beginning only, Constitution is a living document. Indian Constitution is a living document. So these two rights, one which is known as the right to education, RTE. What it is? RTE. Right to education. RTE is short form for the right and this is for education. So what does this right says? That the right of children to free and compulsory education act. This is RTE. Right of children to free and compulsory education came into effect in 2010. It extends to whole of India, and by this act, all children between the age when it was implemented in 2010, and with this act, what this act says, all the children 6 to 14 years, they are having the right to get free and compulsory education, which is also known as elementary education. So right from standard 1 to standard 8, free and compulsory education system has been implemented by the Constitution, and no one can deny to give the admission to these children. So this is all about that, the right to education, which was implemented in the year 2010 throughout the country. No any state can deny to give these facilities to their children, which is also known as the compulsory elementary education system. What it is? Compulsory elementary education system. Next is about that. This is also one of the most important right given to the Indian citizen in a recent years. This is again little bit back in 2005. This right has been given in 2005, which is known as RTI, Right to Information Act. And according to this Information Act, this has been given the status of a fundamental rights under Article 19(1). What is the name of the article? 19(1) of the Constitution in the year 2005. According to this article, every citizen has the freedom to speech and expression, as well as have the right to know how the government works. With this RTI, now we have got this right. Speech and expression already we were availing the facility under the fundamental rights of right to freedom, which is also considered as a cluster of fundamental rights. But when this RTI has been passed or it has been implemented in 2005, now every citizen has got this right to the freedom of speech and expression and have the right to know how the government works. And rules, what roles does it play and what are its functions and so on. About the entire thing of the government. With this RTI, any citizen or every citizen, they have the right to get the information about the working of the government. So these are the two things which is considered as the fundamental parts of the fundamental rights included in the recent years. RTI is in 2005, RTE is in 2010. Next, now coming to discuss about that, the significance of fundamental rights. This means, what is the importance? Significance means the importance. Importance of fundamental rights. Fundamental rights provide the necessary conditions for the moral and material protection of human beings. Moral and material protection. This fundamental rights is required. They protect the interest of minorities and weaker sections of society. Not only that, it gives us the fundamental rights to the every citizen, but it gives the special protection. It protects the interest of the minorities and the weaker sections of our society. They constitute the foundation of the democratic fabric of the country. So, if you remember that in history part you are learning about that, the Gandhiji has used the concept of that, the unity of the entire section of the society. So again this constitution, what it says that they constitute means that the minority and the weaker sections of the society, and for the foundation of the democratic fabric. If we try to meet the fabric with the principles of democracy, so then only we can fulfill the entire criteria of the democracy, if we are giving and providing the equal status to each and every citizens, and who they were long back in the history, they faced the discrimination. By giving them the special protection, then only we can fulfill the entire criteria, entire features of the democracy. They strengthen the secular nature of the nation. This is also about this, the significance. Secular means giving equal respect to all the religion. By giving equal respect to all religion means that giving respect to the different followers of the different religious people. So this way it is strengthen the secular nature of the nation. They lay the foundation for an equitable society based on social justice and social equality. It also gives the foundation for an equitable society, equal status in the society. No one can be discriminated on the basis of their caste, creed. So the social justice and the social equality. This is the importance of fundamental rights, because it is justifiable by the court of law. They check the absolute authority of the government. How? If suppose we are not satisfied with the working of the government, if we have started getting a feeling like that the government is becoming that the absolute authority, then we have the right to check the power of the government. So this is all about the significance of the fundamental rights. These rights, these rights are being protected by the court of law. We can raise our voice. This is about the fundamental rights in the original constitution. the book which has been given in the previous slide, Constitution, the original Constitution book, which is kept in the Parliament, and this is the page of the fundamental rights, part 3. It is mentioned this fundamental right is written in the part 3 of the Constitution. Next, we are coming to discuss about fundamental duties. After the rights, duties are there. Fundamental duties, in the beginning, when the Constitution was implemented in the year 1950, at that time duties were not mentioned. The Constitution of India also lays down a list of fundamental duties. When it was, according to 42nd Amendment of our Constitution, 42nd Amendment change in the Constitution was done in the year 1976. A set of duties is prescribed for the citizens. These duties are enforceable by law. All responsible citizens should faithfully follow them. As a responsible citizen, it is our duty to follow the guidelines which is written under the fundamental duties. So what are some of the fundamental duties? Abide by the Constitution and respect its ideal institutions, the national anthems and the national flag. So this way, this is being a responsible citizen of the country, we must have to give respect. Value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. Then we have to protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. This is also being a citizen of the country. So many rights has been given by the Constitution as a citizen of the country. So it is our moral responsibility to protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of the country. To defend the country, to promote harmony, protect and preserve wildlife and natural environment, to develop scientific temper and the spirit of inquiry, then to safeguard public property, to take care of the public property, to protect and preserve the natural environments, lakes, forests, wildlife, all these comes under that which needs the protection. And wherever we are getting all these facilities, we are availing those facilities, this is our responsibility to take care of all these, the natural environments. So now we have, this is about the fundamental duties which is listed in the Constitution after the 42nd Amendment, which was done in the year 1976. Coming to the significance, what is the significance of fundamental duties? Why it has been added? So this is the fundamental duties serve as a source of inspiration for the citizens and promote a sense of discipline and commitment among them. It is a source of discipline. It promotes a sense of discipline. They create a feeling that the citizens are not mere spectators, but active participants in the realization of national goal. We are not as only a spectator, a viewer, but what are that? We are active participants. We are the active participants in the realization of national goals. Fundamental duties serve as a warning against the anti-national and anti-social activities like burning the national flag, then destroying public property and so on. They serve as a reminder to the citizens that while enjoying their rights, they should also be conscious of duties. This is the most important significance of fundamental duties. We are availing so many facilities from the Constitution. Under this, the fundamental rights. So this is our moral duty. which they owe to their country, their society, and to their fellow citizens. This is the moral responsibility of each and every citizen to contribute towards the country. Efforts made for weaker sections to realize their rights. What are the efforts made? For the upliftment of the weaker sections of the society. Just now we have discussed the marginalized group under the heading of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and the other backward classes. Now coming to discuss how to realize their rights. What are the constitutional provisions done for their betterment? As per the Article 17, what it is? Article 17, it declares this statement, this direct statement is taken out from the Constitution. Untouchability is abolished and its practice in any form is forbidden. The enforcement of any disability arising out of the untouchability shall be an offense punishable with law. So this is clearly written in right to equality. This is the part of the right to equality. If anyone, suppose they try to practice it in the society, it is considered as a punishable offense. So no one is allowed to discriminate people on the basis of their caste. Article 46, it says that the Constitution of India provides the educational and economic interest of the weaker sections. Here we are going to concentrate only and only about that the constitutional provisions for the upliftment of the weaker sections. So in the 46th article of the Constitution, it provides the educational and economic interest of the weaker sections of the people, and in particular of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and shall protect them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation. Especially it is written about that the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe people, how to protect them from the social injustice. Long back in the history, they were discriminated. They were considered as the marginalized groups, not supposed to stay or to come to the mainstream of the society. They were completely excluded from the society. So how to protect them from the social injustice and all forms of exploitation? Article 275 also declares that there shall be paid out of the consolidated fund of India as grants in aid of the revenues of a state. Now, not only that the constitutional provisions are there, special rights has been mentioned over there to uplift their condition. But here now we are talking about that the grants, the money, the amount, grants in aid of the revenues of a state. The amounts of such grants are to be determined by on order of the president. How much amount to be released for the welfare work of the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes, which has to be come from the side of the president until the provision is made by the parliament. The preamble of our constitution, the fundamental rights, and the DPSP. This means that the directive principles of state policy. This is the preamble of our constitution, the fundamental rights, and the DPSP additionally contain numerous arrangements for defending the interest of the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. Every sphere in the society to protect them from the social injustice, then they have to be given that the special grants, then they have to be given special provisions even in our preamble, even in our fundamental rights, even in the directive principles of state policy, which is included in the part 4 of our constitution. This is the direction to the state governments how to uplift the condition of the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes, which is additionally contain numerous arrangements, the different types of the arrangements for their protection, for their welfare, for defending the interest of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Then it comes about that this is the constitutional provisions. What we have discussed was that based on that the efforts made in the constitution for their welfare. Now the efforts made by the government. What the government is working for their welfare. Some seats are reserved in government jobs for scheduled caste, that is 15% in the jobs. For tribes, 7.5%. For OBCs, it is 27%. Some seats are also reserved in educational institutions. Then grants are given them for advanced studies. Even for their highest studies also, they are getting the grants from the government. Reserved constituencies are created for the Lok Sabha and Assembly elections. Lok Sabha means that the general elections. And the assembly elections, this is the reserved concept of the reserved constituencies, which has been created to give them the special privileges. As per the population, some of the seats are reserved in both the elections. Assembly elections, here for the election of the MPs and here for the elections of the MLAs in the states. In various states and the union territories, separate welfare departments have been set up to promote their interest. This is the other effort. Another effort put up by the government in many of the states. They have kept a separate welfare department to take care of this scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. This is all about the chapter.